This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, very recently, 4 years ago, in fact, only 4 years ago, we had one of the greatest Super Bowl comebacks slash chokes in history. Yes, February 5th, 2017 was when the famous 28-3 comeback from the New England Patriots, the one seed in AFC, happened. Patriots were down by 25 points and never looked back. They scored 31 consecutive points to win the game. The Falcons would be terrible. This was only the second time that the Falcons have made the finals. And seemingly since this Super Bowl choke, Atlanta has been going through a lot of chokery themselves. Not the city, but the Falcons. Anyway, the game is the only time that the Super Bowl has been to overtime. The Patriots got their 5th Super Bowl ring, which tied them with Dallas and San Fran for the second most Super Bowl wins behind Pittsburgh's 6 at that time. Bear in mind, Patriots 2 years later won the Super Bowl to win number 6. After finishing the regular season with a 14-2 mark, New England got to their 9th Super Bowl appearance, which made them tops in history. They're second in 3 years, and they're 7th under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. The Falcons, led by the top offense and the MVP quarterback Matt Ryan, completed an 11-5 regular season record and were seeking their first Super Bowl title in their second appearance. And I remember on Facebook saying that Matt Ryan's won the MVP kiss of death because usually the regular season MVP doesn't usually win the Super Bowl. I was right, luckily. Atlanta was up 21-3 at halftime. And then midway the third quarter, it was 28-3. But the Patriots scored 25 points in regulation to tie the game, and in overtime, they won the coin flip and won there. There were many Super Bowl records that were broken. James White's 14 catches and 20 points scored, including a 2-point convert, I think. And Brady's 43 completed passes, 62 passing attempts, and 466 passing yards are all records. Brady was named MVP for a 4th time, and at 39, he was the oldest player to get it. Fox hit 11.3 million viewers, which isn't that bad. A lot of people said this is the greatest Super Bowl of all time. Not really. So anyway, Houston ended up getting the Super Bowl at their stadium and all that. There were rumors that Miami's stadium would go through renovations, mostly because Hard Rock Stadium, mostly because the Marlins moved to a new stadium, so thus they didn't need Joe Robbie Stadium for baseball. But the Florida legislature said they will not approve the funding plan, so Houston got the Super Bowl. Ironically enough, the Patriots played in the first Super Bowl at Houston Stadium, 2004, when the Patriots beat the Panthers on the last second field goal by Vinatieri. This was also the 3rd time the Super Bowl has been played in Houston. Super Bowl 8 was hosted at Rice Stadium in Houston. Houston became the 4th city in history to host the Super Bowl and World Series in the same calendar year, with Houston getting to the World Series and winning the World Series in 2017. They joined San Diego, Detroit, and Arlington, Texas for that. San Diego 1998 was the Padres making the World Series, and then they hosted the Super Bowl between the Broncos and Packers. 2006 was Detroit, when the Tigers went to the World Series and lost to the Cardinals, but they hosted that big Super Bowl between, Pittsburgh and Seattle. I know that Super Bowl happened 15 years ago today, but I'm not commenting on that because that would piss off a certain Facebook friend of mine. And I don't want Jason Lundgren to feel angry. In Arlington, Texas. Yes, I know. You might as well come in. I know you're going to interrupt me. Oh, yeah. Arlington, Texas. Arlington, Texas. Oh, the Texas Rangers and what? Huh? You don't get it, do you? Well, Arlington, Texas is technically where the Cowboys Stadium is. So even though they play Dallas, Arlington is part of Dallas. So thus they got to host the thing. And yes, the Texas Rangers went to the World Series that year. I know. But anyway, the New England Patriots were 14-2 headed into the Super Bowl in 2017. They were good. They lost to Buffalo and Seattle, the only two teams that beat them. They scored the third most points in the NFL, and allowed the fewest in the league. Usually, someone else does better. Tom Brady was suspended for 4 weeks because of Deflategate, and basically that, whatever that guy's name, Roger Goodell basically was sucking all the owners' cocks and all that. Basically, the owners were probably just jealous of New England's dominance and basically wanted Goodell to stop this from ruining football ratings and all that. But the Patriots won 3 out of the 4 games without Brady, like I suspected. With Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett each starting 2 games. Brady took command and basically doing his job. 3,500 plus yards for 28 touchdowns with only 2 interceptions. Wow, he only threw 2 interceptions that year. That's amazing. Edelman was the best receiver, 98 catches for 1,106 yards and all that. Chris Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell would be significant and all that. Rob Gronkowski would be good as tight end. Unfortunately, he suffered a back injury in week 13. And so Martellus Bennett came into his thing. LeGarrette Blount was pretty good at running back with James White and Deion Lewis also. Despite New England actually trading an outside linebacker by the name of Jamie Collins to Cleveland in the middle of the season, they actually still had a good defensive line. Trey Flowers, Donta Hightower, Malcolm Butler, Rob Ninkovich, Devin McCourty. It was huge. All that. Patriots were 4-4 in their 8 Super Bowl appearances, so basically they were going to be above 500 or below 500. And with that Super Bowl appearance, Belichick broke the record for most Super Bowls as a head coach with 7. So appearances, where he shared with Don Shula. And Brady's 7th Super Bowl appearance himself, the most in Super Bowl history. Atlanta was 11-5 in that 2016-17 season. Number 2 seed in the NFC. And, Matt Ryan had a star season, being the MVP and all that. Julio Jones was good with Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel, also good receivers. Devonta Freeman was a 1,000-yard runner. Tevin Coleman was an asset through the year, too. Matt Bryant ended up leading the league in scoring with 158 points. That's the good kicker. And Falcons actually had some good defensive players. Adrian Claiborne and Dwight Freeney actually played for the Falcons that year. I'm surprised. Keanu Neal was a good hard-hitting safety. So the Falcons were trying for their first Super Bowl after botching it at Super Bowl 32 in 1999. 33, pardon. And, it could basically easily have been on Eugene Robinson's head. After all, Eugene Robinson was arrested for trying to solicit sex from an undercover prostitute. Patriots were number 1. They took care of Houston in the divisional round 34-16, and then they beat the Steelers 36-17. Meanwhile, the Falcons, being the 2 seed, hosted Seattle in the divisional round and beat them 36-20. And then they beat the Packers 44-21, who did they send home? They sent somebody home. I wonder who the 1 seed was. The 1 seed was Dallas. Oh, yeah, that was Green Bay went into Dallas and shocked Dallas. And, with that toe-tapping catch that set up the winning field goal. So Green Bay went into Atlanta. And in the last game played at the Georgia Dome, the Falcons crushed the Packers in the fine powder. The Falcons decided to wear their red jerseys, which meant the Patriots wore their white road jerseys. And the Patriots were 3-point favorites. So anyway, Fox got the Super Bowl, and everyone was happy and all that. So anyway, there was actually a bit of an issue with the Canadian broadcast. Here's why. Canadian broadcast rights to Super Bowl 51 were subject to an ongoing legal dispute. Although U.S. network affiliates are carried by paid TV countries in Canada, the law grants domestic broadcast stations the right to require that these signals be substituted with their own in simulcast, SimSub, which means that basically that Canadian people could not really see the Super Bowl commercials because they have to have their Canadian revenue and all that. Yeah. The CRTC said that there's dissatisfaction because some Super Bowl ads couldn't be seen in Canada. All that. But unfortunately, you know, a lot of things happen. All that. Yeah. So, regardless, Luke Bryan sang the national anthem. And he became the first male since Billy Joel at Super Bowl 41 in 10 years earlier to sing the national anthem. George H.W. Bush performed the coin toss alongside Barbara. So basically, that was amazing to see HW, not W, do the coin flip. Lady Gaga did her Super Bowl thing, and Simpsons fans said they called Lady Gaga, her jumping off the stage and all that, like her halftime show, that it was parodied in a Simpsons episode 5 years earlier called Lisa Goes Gaga. Basically, that episode deals with Lisa being the least popular student. She tries to make herself feel better, but basically everyone puts her down after all that. And basically, Lady Gaga was hired to try to keep Lisa's spirits up. Lisa basically realizes that Lady Gaga is a little help, but she also learns that she shouldn't keep things in. So anyway, yeah. Receiver Mohamed Sanu actually said the long length of the halftime show was why Atlanta lost the game. Because, teams on average are off the field for 50 minutes during halftime, but Super Bowl halftimes are longer. But his argument was discounted by the fact that Atlanta actually scored a touchdown to make it 35-3. So, yeah. Take that. So, anyway. So the scoring was, in the second quarter, Atlanta had 3 straight touchdowns. Devonta Freeman had a touchdown run. Austin Hooper had a touchdown catch from Matt Ryan and an interception, a pick six by Robert Alford, 21-0. Gostkowski kicked the field goal before the end of the half. And then Tevin Coleman got a touchdown catch from Matt Ryan to make it 28-3. And the game seemed to be over. James White got a touchdown catch from Tom Brady with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And Gostkowski missed the extra point, which is rare. So after he kicked the field goal, the Pats were still down by 16, but Amendola got a touchdown catch from Brady, and James White ran in the end zone for the 2-point convert. Atlanta had a few chances, but they screwed up their timing, and with an amazing catch from Amendola or Edelman, that the ball seemed to have dropped on the turf, but the ball squirted out of his hands, but he still clapped his hands and got the ball before it touched the turf. James White got a touchdown run, and then Brady passed to Amendola for a 2-point tie game. And then in overtime, after eating 4 minutes of time, James White scored another touchdown run. It was amazing and all that. There were 30 records that were broken or tied and all that. There were a lot of records. I'm not going to go too far into it. Brady actually said that he was going to give his running back James White the truck that came with winning the Super Bowl MVP. Unfortunately, there is no field goal because the sponsor decided to end his practices donating one, which is kind of pathetic, don't you think? Atlanta was the first team in Super Bowl history to have a pick six, but still lose. Prior to that Super Bowl, teams that had a pick six at least once in the Super Bowl actually were 12-0. Amazing. New England had 2 turnovers. Atlanta only turned the ball over once. It made the Pats the 5th team to win a Super Bowl despite losing the turnover battle, joining Baltimore in that Blunder Bowl, Super Bowl 5. Pittsburgh in Super Bowl 14. I didn't know they had more turnovers than the Rams. Super Bowl 40, and the Patriots in 49. It was the record for the largest deficit overcome to win the Super Bowl. The previous record was only 10 points. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? 10 points. It was the 3rd largest comeback win in playoff history behind the big comeback of Buffalo over the Houston 93 wildcard game when they were down 35-3 and then won in overtime 41-38. And second was the Colts-Chiefs wildcard game in 2014 that the Colts were down 38-10 and they came back to win 45-44. No team previously won a playoff game after trailing by 17 or more points headed into the 4th quarter, but the Patriots did. This was amazing. Super Bowl 51 was the first Super Bowl in history in which the winning team had never held the lead at any point during regulation time. And it was the first Super Bowl in history that the winning team didn't score on a point after. Didn't score with a PAT kick. The Patriots only had 1 point after 1 point after kick, and it was missed. And then the Patriots went for 2 a couple times. So yeah, that Super Bowl was hardcore. And I will be the first to admit to you that I actually turned off the game in the second half. It was 28-3. I turned it off. I said 21-3. I turned it off and I said, well, I guess I suck. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, at 10 o'clock, I'm like, maybe I'll tune in the game and see how badly the Patriots got blown out. So I did. And then they said, well, we're going to overtime. And I'm like, overtime? They're going to overtime? So I watched the game in overtime. We got the ball and we never gave it up. And I was like shocked, very shocked. The Patriots won the Super Bowl, just like it should be in real life. Anyway, thanks for watching. Adieu.